Oh, Natasha, sometimes I get so mad. But in the paper, it must be true.
When Rocky and Bullwinkle arrived at their new ranch, the Lazy J, they found that it wasn't the choicest piece of real estate in the world. As a matter of fact, the only good piece of land on it ran straight up and down.
Must have some mighty acrobatic cows on this ranch.
Acrobatic?
Or maybe they got suction cups on their hoofs.
You plumb loco?
No, I'm plumb Bullwinkle.
There's no cows on this ranch.
No cows!
Well, it's not so bad being a sheep herder, Rock. Sometimes they're the good guys, too.
No sheep, neither.
Hogs, maybe?
Nope.
Muskrats?
Nope.
Horses?
Nope.
Chinchillas?
Nope.
Mink?
Nope.
Platypuses?
Nope. Hold it. I'm plumb tuckered out, waggling my head back and forth.
Well, what do you raise on this ranch?
I better whisper.
Bullwinkle! Gee, he fainted. What did you say to him?
I better whisper.
Good heavens, both of our heroes have fainted. Well, what did you say to them?
Just told them what we raised on this ranch.
Well, what is it?
I better whisper. Worms.
Worms?
Well, I bet dog. He fainted, too.
Did I hear you right? This is a worm ranch?
A worm ranch?
A worm ranch?
Say, if you fellas would get together, you'd make a fine trio.
A
worm ranch.
See? I told you.
Yes, it turned out to be all too true. The boys had traveled 1,000 miles and spent $28 of their hard-earned money to buy a worm ranch.
Yep, it's the biggest herd in these here parts.
But where is it?
Where else? Underground.
Sure enough, the boys had taken on the job of herding a bunch of critters they couldn't even see. But for the next few weeks, they were too busy to worry about it. First, there was the big spring roundup.
What's this contraption got to do with the roundup?
Only way we know where the little rascals are.
What do I do?
You jump up and down on this pogo stick. Sort of driving ahead of you. Good luck.
And so our friends started out to round up their herd.
Whoopee! Hi, get along, little doggy.
Bullwinkle, we aren't rounding up doggies.
I know, but I just can't bring myself to sing Get Along, Little Worm. And, uh-oh,
What is
a
it?
stray is cut loose from the herd.
After him, Bullwinkle.
Get back in there. No, not the other way. And, uh-oh, I lost him. Oh, that does it. No early worm can give me the bird.
Uh-oh, now you've done it.
What I done it?
You spoke the herd. They're stampeding.
Well, it certainly looked that way, for the ground began to tremble as if there were an earthquake.
Jumping gee horse fat. Must be millions of them.
Stampede!
Underground stampede. No.
In the movies, they always try to head off the leaders.
How can you hit them when you don't know which way they're going?
I don't know, but we gotta try. Keep pounding on the ground.
And our heroes bravely tried to turn the leaders.
Come on, turn. Get him turned around, Bullwinkle.
I sure would if I could see them.
But eventually the trembling stopped.
Except for my knees.
And our boys knew the herd had quieted down. But their troubles weren't over, not by a long shot, for watching our boys from a nearby hill was a sinister figure, wearing, of all things, a cowboy hat and kilts. Who can this mysterious stranger be? We'll find out next time in The Last Angry Angus or Hot Scotch.
Once upon a time, there was an old woodchopper, and he lived in the woods, which is a nice place to live if you happen to be a woodchopper. His wife had presented him with a fine son, and as the years went by, they were very happy. That is, until one day, when they sat by the fire, his wife looked up to him and said,
Pa,
she always called him Pa.
have you noticed anything strange about our boy Tom lately?
Strange? Oh, Tom, could you come in here for a minute, boy?
Yes, Father?
Hey, let me look at you, son. Mm-hmm. Stick out your tongue.
Blah.
No, can't say as I do, Ma. What do you mean?
Well, he seems a mite smaller than he should be.
Oh, land sakes, Ma, give the lad a chance. He'll grow as he gets older.
Older? He's 28 now.
Just the same, he gonna grow. Won't you, boy?
Yes, Father?
But as year after year went by, Tom didn't grow an inch.
Tom?
Yes, Father?
Now, you better mind your daddy and grow, you understand?
Yes, Father? I'm trying.
The problem grew as Tom didn't. Being so small proved to be a constant danger to the young man.
What's the matter, Pa?
Don't move. There's a cockroach on the table. I'll get him. There, you little varmint. Ooh, sorry about that, Tom. Does it hurt?
Only when I laugh, Father. Ooh.
Then there was the time that Tom fell down a crack in the floor and was missing for 3 weeks. Until one day when...
Pa, have you seen any witches around here lately?
Why, no. Why do you ask?
Well, I think one sneaked in here and cast a spell on our vacuum cleaner bag. Listen, it talks.
Help! Help! Let me out of here!
Oh, there ain't no spell on that bag, Ma. You done vacuumed up our boy Tom again?
It was finally decided that something had to be done, and the old man called to his son.
Now, this here gone on long enough, boy. Now, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. I'm going to make you grow.
Yes, Father?
Now, maybe the whole trouble is you ain't eating enough food. Now, eat this whole watermelon. We're going to see what happens.
6 months later, Tom had eaten every bite, and his father carefully measured him, but he still hadn't grown even the tiniest bit.
Bag nabbit, boy, you just ain't trying.
Yes, I am, Father. Honest.
The old woodchopper kept right on doing everything he could think of that might make his son grow. He stuffed little Tom full of vitamins, fed him with all the food he could hold. He exercised him from sun up to sundown.
1, 2, 1, 2, up, down, touch them toes, lift that weight, tote that bar, grow, you little critter, I want you large. Now, we skip the rope.
Good idea. Let's skip it. I'm pooped.
Any change in the boy yet, Pa?
Yep.
Oh, good. You mean he's growing?
Nope. He's losing weight.
The old man even made a tiny track out in the backyard, and Tom would stretch his muscles by running around and around by the hour.
Good lad, Tom. You just ran the 4-minute yard. But you still haven't grown a cussed inch.
Alas, by now it had become quite clear that nothing they could do would make Tom grow. It looked like he would just have to stay small.
Son, I'm afraid that only being 2 inches tall, one of them little things you just gonna have to learn to live with.
I noticed that.
But try as he might, Tom found it impossible to adjust to his little problem and be happy. And one day, he finally came to a decision.
I can't stand living here this way. It's time for me to marry, so I'm going out into the world and seek a bride.
You can't do that, boy. Why, the cards are all stacked against you.
Don't say it, Father. I know. But my mind is made up, and I must try. Farewell.
And Tom struck out all by himself and into the cold, strange world that lay ahead.
Oh, poor Tom. He never gonna find anyone small enough to be his bride.
I know.
This might have been the end of the story, and all would have lived unhappily ever after, but for one thing. Soon after Tom had left, they received a letter from him with some very startling information.
Ma! Our Tom's got a job in town, and he found himself a bride.
Why, land sakes, where do you suppose that tricky little Dickens found a sweetie as teeny as he is?
I don't know, but the wedding's tomorrow, and we're invited. Come on, Ma, we're heading for town.
The old woodchopper and his wife had never been to town before because until now they never had a reason. But when they arrived the next day, a most amazing discovery was made.
Well, if this don't take the rag off in the bush, no wonder we couldn't get Tom to grow. That little stinker was normal all along.
My goodness, dear. How come your mother and father are so big?
Very simple, honey. They're from Texas.
And they all lived ever after, which is just about all you can expect with a situation like this.
getting speedier, bugsier, and funnier.
What a revolting development this is!
It's more of the Looney Tunes you want every weekday on Nickelodeon.
Play the Sound Safari game. Safari, Safari. Find where the animals are. The lion can't be far. Hear the rock. Hear the snake. Hear all the sounds they make. And find where the animals are. Sound Safari.
Sound Safari is the only game with real animal sounds. It's a jungle in there.
Safari. Find where the animals are.
Is this thing on?
Here, I'll show you. See, let me see. I love video scavenger hunts.
Spotted dog, rock group.
Rock group? Hi, Mom.
I don't see geek on this list.
Is McDonald's on there? Let's roll. From Star.
Spotted dog, twins, moving van.
Group headstand.
Got it.
Twins? Oh, I always see twins at McDonald's. Oh.
Big
Spotted dog.
Moving van.
I always see moving vans at McDonald's. Come on.
It's moving. It's a van.
It counts.
I'll check it out.
Hey, a rock group.
Works for me. What's next? Right convertible?
Skycam.
What are you doing on it? Get down.
I always see red convertible.
At McDonald's.
Let's go.
Yeah. Hey, we're doing good.
I'm doing great.
Look, twins.
Not anymore.
Still need a man in uniform.
Hey, whoa. Hey, man in uniform. I knew we'd find everything at McDonald's.
So why don't you say something?
Yeah.
Fish biting, son?
Nary a nibble all day, Pop.
Well, it's no wonder you can't catch a fish using a donut for bait.
I know, but I've been digging for worms all afternoon, and I couldn't find a single one. Besides, the donut's chocolate.
That's true, but you can't expect to find worms in the afternoon. You have to get up early. Remember the old saying?
It's the early bird that catches the worm.
Now, you take the fable of the robin, the pelican, and the angleworm. It was a great day for the kingdom of Camelittle, which, needless to say, was a great deal smaller than Camelot. For on this day, King Leo I was to be crowned absolute monarch of all he surveyed.
But I can't see a thing. This bucket is clear down over my eyes.
I am sorry, Your Grace. It's the only thing we could find for a crown. Good King Leo I refused to go through with the coronation. It was then the loyal Camelittle Lillians took matters into their own hands. Working in the jewel mines night and day, they succeeded in unearthing 10 fabulous gems which they presented to His Highness.
Now we are getting someplace.
The gems were given to the royal crown maker, who, grabbing the first thing at hand, set them into a large beer mug.
How about that? I'm the only king in the world who has a crown that sparkles and has a head on it.
So King Leo was crowned, and all went well for a fortnight. Then one morning, as he sat on the throne...
Hey, Your Highness, hey! You lost one of your rocks.
Sure enough, where once a gleaming ruby had nestled, naught but a hole remained. Summoning the royal private eye, the king demanded an explanation.
After much consideration and perusal of the facts, I have reached a definite conclusion. I know who did it.
Who?
A thief.
Oh. It was decided that a more drastic measure be taken.
We shall lock the crown in the royal safe.
And as an added precaution, the king went with it. Unfortunately, when the safe was eventually opened...
Good Lord, it's incredible.
Yes, the amethyst was back in the crown, but the king was gone. There in His Highness's place was a ransom note.
Leave 5 million finsters inside the refrigerator by midnight or the king dies.
There was nothing left to do but comply with the fiendish request. 5 million finsters were placed inside the refrigerator, but on the outside an elaborate alarm system was installed.
The clock in the tower will strike 4 at midnight. The door of the refrigerator will swing open, the light will come on, and we'll have the villain.
At exactly 12 o'clock midnight, the clock in the tower struck 4, the refrigerator door opened, and the light did come on. And there on the top shelf, counting the finsters, was of all things a worm.
200 finsters, 201 finsters.
Seize him!
You've got to get up early in the morning to catch me.
And with that, he swooped up his ill-gotten finsters and made good his escape. The fox was no fool. In order to get the king, he had to catch the worm. But foxes are not worm catchers, birds are. Birds like robins and pelicans.
The fate of the king is in your hands. Get that worm.
So they began their pursuit immediately, following the worm's trail, which led to a tiny hole in the ground.
That's his owl, all right.
How can you tell?
Listen,
1,008,000 finsters, 1,009,000.
we'll smoke him out.
Taking a bit of incense and a dash of myrrh, the robin opened a tiny box, placed the mixture inside, lit it, closed the box, and dropped it into the hole. Immediately, the box popped back up.
Open before Christmas. Now, isn't that nice?
Righto, for a worm, that's a pretty sweet gesture.
I thought worm catching was for the birds.
Oh, it is. We tried every afternoon for a week to catch that little rascal.
Afternoon? No wonder. Even I know it's the early bird that catches the worm.
By golly, he's right.
So the next morning, in the chill early dawn, they resumed the hunt.
Man, it's colder than a well digger's ankles.
You can say that again.
It's colder than a well...
Never mind. Look, in the road ahead.
There stood the worm, counting the last of his finsters.
4,900,099. 5 million. It's all here.
So are we.
The worm soon found himself behind bars. The king was returned to his throne. The worm got 10 years, and the robin and the pelican each got a severe cold. Yes, although they caught the worm, the chill of the early morning laid them both up with a case of double pneumonia. And so you see, Junior, that's why I always say it's the early bird that gets the worm. True?
True. However, Pop, you got the last word wrong.
How so?
The way you told it, it's the early bird that gets the germ.
Heroes are the proud owners of the Lazy J Ranch, 1,000 acres of the worst real estate in the West. So terrible is the terrain that the only thing they can raise on their ranch is worms.
That's right. We raise all kinds of worms.
Hook, cut, tape, fishing, and angle. Get along, little doggy.
And while Bullwinkle rounds up the herd by means of his surplus mine detector,
For detecting surplus mines,
Rocky has taken on the task of clearing all the stones off the North 40.
Gee, Mr. Lazy J, there must be a jillion of them.
1,008,000, Rocky. I counted them last July and August.
Boy, how can you be so lazy?
I work at it night and day.
Rocky started on his Herculean task. Back and forth he flashed, lugging the heavy boulders, and at day's end had a huge pile of rocks heaped at the ranch gate.
Well, now what, Rocky?
I just put up this sign and we're in the boulder business.
rock garden kits.
Do it yourself with Rocky's Rocks. 10 cents each.
Boy, that's a keen idea.
As an idea, it may have been keen, but as a business, it was a terrible flop. So in the succeeding days, the price of Rocky's Rocks dropped lower and lower. Unfortunately, the pile grew higher and higher. Finally, the sign was changed to read,
Free, take 'em away.
but still nobody bought any, and the pile grew larger daily.
Is that any relation to Dan Daly?
Bullwinkle!
Or Dilly Daly?
There's only one thing left to do.
Pay people to take 'em away.
No, listen.
Oh, I love these scenes where people whisper.
Tickles your imagination.
Tickles my ears fuzz.
Actually, Rocky's plan was very simple. He simply painted a large sign that read,
Warning, do not take rocks.
and left it on the pile overnight. Sure enough, next morning, there wasn't a boulder in sight.
Somebody even took the sign.
It's nice to know you can depend on people.
People indeed, for that entire pile had been taken by one man who now sat in a house on the outskirts of Squaw's Ankle, Wyoming, a house which was now full of rocks from floor to ceiling. And the man? Who else? That arch criminal, that kingpin of crime, that mass of pure, mean, super slob. No, you're Boris Badenov.
Hello again, fans.
Tell me, Boris,
Yes, Natasha, he said, reminding everyone what her name is.
how come we got a house full of rocks?
You saw sign, Natasha. Do not take rocks. I had to steal them.
Had to?
It's in my contract.
What do we do with them, Dolly?
They must be worth something. Let's try and see.
So the two thieves tried their best to use the rocks as bowling balls.
Okay, Natasha, knock down 10 pins.
But the stones weren't quite round enough for that.
Oh, sorry, darling. Should I get doctor?
Of course not. Get Pinboy and set me up in other alley.
They even tried the boulders as ammunition for a huge cannon.
Ready, aim, fire!
They were a little too heavy.
We tried with different guns.
Please, darling. Different gunner, too.
But where is Boulder?
As luck would have it, that huge stone was rolling downhill, right toward the main street of the little town of Squaw's Ankle.
Boris, that stone, it will crush hundreds of people.
Well, what do you know, Natasha? It's good for something after all.
Will the massive stone really wipe out the village? Be sure to see our next episode, Our Town or the Home of the Grave.
Hang tight. Nickelodeon's Moose-a-Rama will be right back.
In the new game, Out of Control, there's things you have to remember to do and not do. First, Johnny has to clap before he moves. Now, Jeannie has to clap and bark like a dog and remember not to point.
Gotcha!
Now, Sarah has to clap, bark like a dog, remember not to point, and give herself a hug. You win by remembering what you do or don't do and catching everyone doing or not doing it. Jimmy got up to clapping, barking, not pointing, hugging, squawking, but just as he was yelling like Tarzan, Kevin caught him with his elbows on the table, which is why he's winning. Out of Control. The only rules are fun.
Hey, cool things happen with the warm taste of Kellogg's Pop-Tarts.
That taste on really fruit so hot.
Shh, that's enough, young man.
Oh, my. That's cool.
If you check out Kellogg's Frosted Blueberry Pop-Tarts, you will discover its new blueberry taste. It's big.
Wow, what a tasty discovery.
And now with new fun sprinkles.
Why drink chocolate milk? Hey, come on. A, you need it. It tastes great. You need a snack. B, it's a great snack. Hits the spot. A great snack. C, it's smooth. Chocolate milk is rich and smooth. D, your friends like it a lot. E, it's chocolate. F, you love the taste. G, do you really need a reason? Chocolate milk. What a tasty idea.
You are in the O-Zone. And now back to Nickelodeon's Moose-a-Rama.
Hello, Culture Gang. Today's poem is that epic of time travel, Dickory Dickory Dock. You're sure you know your part now?
Sure.
Okay. Hickory Dickory Dock, the mouse ran up the clock. Very good. The clock struck 1, then down he run. Down he run. Hey, that's your cue.
No, the clock didn't strike 1.
I don't care, you're supposed to run down.
In my script, it's the clock that runs down.
You come on out of there, I'm coming in to get you.
Just try it.
Okay, of all the dag-flatted blag-staggin'. No!
There. You'll be all right in a week or so.
Why don't you pick on somebody your own size?
Now, just what caused the accident, Mr. Moose?
Well, obviously, it was Hickory Dickory. Doc?
Well, when we left our story last time, a huge boulder was rolling downhill toward the town of Squaw's Ankle, Wyoming, followed closely by Boris Badenov and Natasha Patal.
Natasha, Boulder is gaining on us.
We couldn't stop it anyway, Boris.
Who wants to stop it? I just want to be there when it hits.
Then why not take shortcut, darling?
Natasha, are you forgetting who is brains of this outfit?
Sorry, darling. What do you want to do?
We'll take shortcut.
Oh, Boris, you've done it again.
A little way ahead, the villagers were all unaware of their terrible danger.
Dagnabbit, Calvin, nothing ever happens in this here town.
You're so right, Durward.
Hey, you fellows, big news.
What's that, Basil?
Harry the Hermit's in town for his annual haircut.
Oh,
All aboard!
Hot thingy.
Do tell.
Well, 23.
Yes, in Squaw's ankle, even a haircut was a big event. And so in a few seconds, everyone had dashed into the barber shop. As a result, the huge boulder rolled harmlessly down the middle of a deserted main street, and when Boris and Natasha arrived on the scene...
Phooey, there's nobody here to get run over by boulder.
Oh, yes, there is, darling.
Wonderful. Who is it? Oh, boy. Run for it, Tony Ball.
Run for what?
Run for your life.
And the two villains raced down the street as the mighty stone rolled after them.
In here, Natasha.
Quickly, the terrified pair dashed into a nearby building, which just happened to be the sample room of the government assay office.
Brace yourself against door, Natasha.
Right, boy.
You sure you're bracing, Natasha?
Let's face it, darling, this thing is bigger than both of us.
It certainly was, for the huge stone left a trail of wreckage behind it. Samples of gold, silver, uranium, and just plain dirt. The assay office was a shambles, and so was Natasha.
Well, Boris, Boris, where are you? Come in. Boris, is that you?
You were expecting maybe the Tin Man?
In a little while, the villains had caught up with their rolling stone. Boris looked at it closely.
Nope.
What is it, Boris?
Just as I thought. No moss.
But that stone had gathered a lot more than moss, for in rolling through the ore samples, it had picked up bits of every precious metal known to man. And Boris had picked up something, too.
A lump on my head.
And an electronic analyzer.
Why did you steal analyzer, darling?
Best reason in the world.
Why?
It wasn't nailed down.
But just then, the analyzer began to act very strangely.
Hey, what's going on?
You have it pointed at stone, darling.
And look what it registers, Natasha. Gold,
Silver,
copper,
uranium,
malleable, more gold.
Boris, this rock is worth a fortune.
And what's more?
Yes?
Plenty more where that came from.
On ranch that belongs to Moose and Squirrel, right?
Wrong. On ranch that used to belong to Moose and Squirrel.
You mean?
I sure am. Come on, Natasha.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch...
I just knew he'd be that.
Rocky and Bullwinkle were just finishing the spring roundup of their underground herd. For the Lazy J, you remember, was really a worm ranch.
Boy, that was a tough job. Sure glad it's over.
Over? All them worms gotta be counted and branded.
We gotta count them.
Careful like, too.
Gee, we're gonna need some help.
But who?
Hoot, man, allow me to introduce myself.
Hokey Smoke, who are you?
World's only Scotch cowboy.
A Scotch cowboy? What's your name?
What else? Black Angus.
Uh-oh. Don't miss our next episode, The Big Countdown, or Tally in Our Alley.
We're calling kids all this week during the Ozone to win this year's Nick or Treat sweepstakes, and you could be one of 2,500 winners if you answer your telephone by saying,
Nick or treat.
Big orange couch moves fast. The only way to keep up is to get your butt on the couch and snick this Saturday on Nickelodeon.
The fun is just about beginning. Kids Sports is a club.